Hey, it's Gun Gaming here. I know it's been a little while, but I'm back at it. So I went off on vacation. Took me a little bit to get back into things, get back into the swing of how things were going. And today I've got a fun video for you. We're going to be covering the best game modes. And this is going to matter as we go forward into a couple of new videos I'm going to have come out this week, notably on tips for starting out and tips for new players, and of course the server boots me right as I start this. The tips for new players will be a part of that tips for starting out, and I think that's going to be really important for the global launch on August 25th. So if you have friends, family, whatever, please pass the video on. I think that'll be helpful. Then this video I think will be helpful in giving new players a sense of the end game. I think it's also important to just start a conversation on this stuff so that we can give feedback to the devs. I haven't seen anybody else, and I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch YouTube every day. I go on a walk with my son for 50 minutes while he blows bubbles and does whatever, and I just watch YouTube. So anyway, and there hasn't been a ton of content out, and so I kind of want to start some important conversations that I've seen in other mobile games that I think will help push the devs to create better content here and have a better experience for all of you who like to watch YouTube videos, like myself. So that's going to be today's video. Then after that, I'm going to do a ranking of all characters, and it's going to make people mad, happy, sad, angry, hate me. I don't know, but it's really going to be intentionally made to really think through where the current character balance is. And I wanted to do this earlier, but I anticipated correctly that they were going to do some nerfs and some buffs, but mostly nerfs. So we'll walk through all of those details. I haven't seen a great video on what they did, so I do want to kind of walk through that, and then we'll talk about what the character rankings are. But for today's video, we're just going to talk about the best game modes. So starting out at number 1, and obviously you can see there my power is 325. I am not the most OP character. I went on vacation for 10 days and didn't play the game at all, which I didn't regret. And I honestly felt like if you can't walk away from a game, or you'd need to play it for an hour every day, I don't think it's a super sustainable game to get people playing, to be honest. I think that you need to be able to take a few days off. Especially for an MMO. I think for other games like general hero collector games, maybe you can, because you can get your stuff done in 10, 15 minutes. But in games like this, you really need to give people some breathing room. So I did get a little bit behind, but I still feel like I can compete in all the content. I can still have a lot of fun, and I don't feel like I got totally left behind in a very competitive alliance. So anyway, and we'll walk through that. I feel like decisions I made in the early game cost me more than me going on vacation, and we'll walk through that next time. So first things first, number 1, let's talk about the criteria. So my first criteria is it needs to have good rewards, right? So there's not really any point in playing a game mode if it doesn't give you anything good. Like, it could be super fun, but it does need to give you some good rewards. I know other people might feel differently, but that's just how I feel. Number 2, it needs to be fun to play, and I think maybe that could actually be number 1. You have to enjoy playing it, but I can for myself personally, I'll muscle through some garbage content to get really good rewards. If those rewards can help me engage in other content more meaningfully. So, and why this goes, just gonna follow my own advice. Do your most wanteds, because you have to wait for them to spawn. Piece of advice. Anyway, good squad ranking there too. So anyway, it needs to be fun to play, and part of that being fun to play, it needs to be fun even when I lose. Which, just side note, this is a major bug, and I think other people have probably seen this too. But Vestur, the Icebringer, does not spawn in this location. It always says he's here, but he's never actually here, and it kind of drives me nuts. But you can just cycle through what channels you're on. Sorry, I'm kind of distracted by that for a moment. So again, good rewards / fun to play. Those could be like 1A, 1B, and you can rank them in whatever order you want them to be in. Yeah, for whatever reason, he always spawns in channel 1 right there. Number 3 needs to be fun even when I lose, and that is a big deal for me. I cover content on another game called Gwent, and that's a major characteristic for highly competitive games with ELO basically, or MMR, where you're ranked as a character, and you have the game is trying to get you to a 50-50 ranking win-loss. So for that, I think that for me that matters a lot, because I need to be able to get that. Make sure you get all these yellow missions. For some reason I missed this one earlier. I'm still convinced to add some of these. But anyway, fun when I lose, not repetitive. I don't want to have to watch it over and over and over again, do the same thing over and over and over again, day in, day out. Just for me, I don't like that. At least make it a little bit intriguing, a little bit engaging, just some differences there, right? And then last but not least, free to play and pay to play needs to have proper balancing. It needs to be competitive. I do think, for a game to be sustainable, you do need to have a pay to play track. Pay to play players do need to feel like their money was meaningful, that they got some kind of investment. And as a free to play player, you're delusional if you think that a game can just be sustained on free to play. Just delusional. Unless there's ads in it, which make a game miserable in my experience. There's no AAA studio that is going to be able to pay its workers enough. Anyway, just accept that reality, right? But it does need to be competitive. I need to feel like I'm 2/3 or 3/4 the way there of a pay-to-play player, and that for every 4 kills they get, I want to feel like I can get 3 kills. Might be a little bit tougher for me, and I might have to play it a lot. But in certain game modes, that difference is very readily apparent, and so that comes into my ranking. So that is my last piece of criteria, though, and that is going to feed into what I've ranked as number 1, clear and away, no holds barred, no regrets on ranking at number 1, Omega War. Omega War is just the best. It's the most well thought out game mode. It feels the most fun to play. You can be utterly terrible, get 0 kills, get 0 points, and you can still win because somebody on your team can carry you. So that pay-to-play, free-to-play balancing actually does smooth out over time. I do think the matchmaking could use a little bit of help. I always get queued against Cal, and he's never on my team, so that really bothers me. Oh man, he just wrecks nerds every time. Every time I get paired, I'm against him instead of with him. Anyway, he's a good friend of my alliance. So, but generally, I do think the matchmaking could use some work. I've ended up in a few wars with 3v3, which was actually pretty fun. So I feel like the one thing I think as they build out for global launch I'd like to see with the Omega War, the one change I'd suggest is make it optional for how many it is. Instead of it being default 10v10, I'd like to do a 2v2 or a 5v5. So, or 4v4 I think would be most important. So I could have a squad of my friends maybe against a squad of my other friends. Our alliance could pair against each other. That's something I would like to see more. Because I think getting on comms, doing that together is really where the game could really shine, and it could be really exciting. So last time my power went out till 1 in the morning, so my AFK farms didn't go. So that's why this is going on in the background. So deal with it. Looks like he finally spawned. So anyway, other reason why Omega War is really good. See, my rank is 842. Not the best, but you can actually get up here pretty far. Again, my characters suck. This is going to feed more into later videos. Don't pick Star-Lord is the very long and short of it. But you can see the weekly ranking list. The rewards are pretty good. You get some crystals, but the smoothing out on currency is actually pretty good. There is a bit of a drop off here, but 500 to 600 is pretty solid. It's like fighting an extra one and getting a win. But the weekly rewards aren't massively impactful here. You don't need to get rank 1 for it to be a big difference. Instead, you just need to win the 2 matches that you play every day. And if you can win the 2 matches you play every day, you'll be in a great spot. And then the shop is actually really good. So this has a 3 to 5 star Omega card box. And then there's also an Omega War Battle Badge box. And these two are really important. They're not limited but per week, so I'm just holding on to the currency. There's no reason for me to go grab this right now, especially since I don't need more Omega cards for my Star-Lord. Again, getting into that later. But Pim's research log is constrained, so do kind of keep your eye on that if that's something that you're really building in your squad ranking. But this is the only place to come get Pims, which is the health one. And then these are really good, really good rewards. Omega War really has probably the most solid rewards of all of them. Even just like a 3-star Omega card is pretty good. And I have gotten rares out of there before. I don't believe that you can get the mega rares. If I go to shop, I've never seen or heard anyone getting these cards out of there. And I always forget what these ones are called. They're not rare. They're the next thing up from rare. I've never pulled one, so I wouldn't know directly. You got to spend a lot of money basically to get these ones. Even spending crystals is pretty rough to get. So anyway, you get crystals, you get those coins. It's pretty good rewards there. So that's number 1, Omega War. Number 2, Prime Bosses in Dark Zone. People can be like, "What? That's not a game mode." Blah blah blah. Yeah, it is. It very much is. And getting a Prime Boss kill is massively important for your daily farms on Omega cards. And getting good Omega cards matters a lot in the long game. So, pay attention to it, get it, do it. And the reason why it is a competitive game mode is because getting first matters a lot. Like a whole lot. So whenever and I can't readily pull it up here. We'll just try to have to go to a different zone to see if one drops. But you'll see, and it is actually different per boss. They don't all give the same. I believe in Dark Zone, placing first gives you 5 almost always. It gives you 5 of the high grade ones, which is a 2 to 4 drop box of Omega cards. Getting second is 3, getting third is 2, and then 5, they drop down in quality. So 4 gives you 1, and then when you get to 5, you get 5 drops of 1 to 3 star boxes, which is almost always ones. But the same is true everywhere else, and so that's why the next thing that we have is actually the Prime Bosses everywhere else. And I would like to point out, and we'll come to collections here. You need to fulfill each of these. Fulfilling collections gives you squad ranks and crystals, so that's important and helpful. Do that. It's good. But Midgardia 4, you can farm all of these. These give you crit damage and crit rate. They're really good cards. Definitely worth farming. Go to Midgardia, farm Loki, get this one. Go to Midgardia, farm Malekith, get this one. So this one's Malekith. This one's Loki. From what I've experienced, these only drop from Loki, and these only drop from Malekith. These ones you can get just from killing the regular bosses. They are rare. They drop more readily when you are number 1 in killing Malekith or Loki. But it does matter, and candidly, if you're a free-to-play player, you don't need 1 of these sets. You need 8 of these sets. You need 8 sets for a set for each of your characters. So, I always grind Midgardia overnight, in part because I feel like Midgardia is the best set for Black Widow. It's also a reasonably good set for Storm. It's a reasonably good set for Star-Lord, and those are my 3 that I've kind of been playing. Again, regrets in next video. So Omega War's number 1, Prime Bosses in Dark Zone, and then Prime Bosses everywhere else. I know some people are going to be like, those don't count, fine, whatever. But they do for me. They take time, they take energy, and AFK farming is the best way to just kind of get those overnight because waiting for them to spawn takes forever. Looks like I just barely missed this boss, so is what it is. And then the next one is raids. So raids matter a lot as well. They just matter for specializations. you want to be able to get up to ultimates, and then especially if you're at like a 300 power like me, you want some really nice friends who are willing to carry you so that you can try to get up further on in character power. And then as you build out these skill trees, these really matter. And note that like certain characters do have more advantageous skill trees, and that like Star-Lord, you never have to complete like a full circle except on these 3. Because in order to unlock the special active traits, you need to unlock all of the surrounding traits, passive traits. So just note that when you're building out your tree, which means you have to get a whole lot of this convergium juice, if you will. And raids is the only place to get it. And raids are really fun. Raids are not the garbage of Blitz where you have to like fight through mobs and then go kill the boss. Raid is just the boss. If I just drop in here, we're all just going to go fight King Tron. The ultimates take a long time because they have a good amount of health, but it's like 5-10 minutes. It's honestly no longer than it takes to do blitzes, and you max out at doing 4 of these a day. I think you can rebuy the reward count at bottom for 100 crystals each time. Which, again, I'll cover this in tips for starting in my next video about where you should spend your crystals. But some people feel very strongly that it's the best place to spend crystals. I don't share that opinion, but some people do feel that way, and I can certainly understand why. So that's next one. Number 5, the number 5 most important game mode for you to do, and the best way to showcase this, because I know I'm going to have people being like, that shouldn't count, is to just come in here and click on this, is logging in. What? No, but seriously, this, a 5-star costume box just for food. Mobile Gamer put out a video on this a little while ago. But if you calculate how much it costs to make a 5-star costume, it takes 6 pieces to make each set, right? You have to have a base and then 5 to crunch into it. If you multiply that all together, it ends up being around 1,300. 1,330. It's like 1,324, something like that. 1-star costume boxes. And whenever you say 1 to 3, these are really just 1s. Like I've sometimes gotten 2s, never gotten 3s. I don't think it's possible. But anyway, a 2-star, even just a 2-star drop is worth 6 1s. So this 5-star box again is worth like 1,300 pieces. And that's going to play into in a couple. Not quite yet. When we get to Spec Ops, I'll talk about that. But I have Spec Ops ranked pretty far down, and I'll explain why when we get there. But logging in gives you the best rewards, and you literally don't have to do anything else. So, it is a little bit repetitive, so it loses on that piece. So that's why it's further down. But it's good rewards. Fun to play, doesn't even really matter. It's not really, it's just like you just literally have to click open the game, and you're good to go on this one. So that counts. Honestly, in my opinion, the rewards are so good I can't not cover it. Most Wanted is my next one, and the reason I say that is it is fun. It changes every day. Like, granted, these are the same units, but they do like nominally change every day. You do get cards from it. It is pretty fun to do. Hey, look, Berserker's playing. Someone from my guild. It's like, it's something that you can do pretty passively, so it doesn't take a lot of work. It's something that you can do with other people. There isn't a ranking system, so this doesn't rank nearly as high as my Prime bosses, but Most Wanted does give you like a flat 500 squad rank for Sakara. It's 100 for each like level that it is. So like 100s for New Stark City, 200s for Hydra, 300s for Xandar, 400 for Megardia, which is where Vestor was, and then 500s for our good friends here on Sakar. And Kircher takes forever to kill, and he's super obnoxious because he ruins guard break. Anyway, the 500s do take a little bit of work for me, but I can kind of farm these AFK, so that's what I do. And the Omega cards really do matter. You often get 2-star drops just from doing the Most Wanteds, and 2-star Omega cards, and I have gotten rares before, so it is possible. They are rare, they're named properly there, but you can get them, and they're pretty nice to have. After that, I would say Dimensional Duel. So Dimensional Duel is not higher for me because, one, it is very pay to play. This is just one person versus one person, and whoever is better is the best. I don't know. You can see, like, I haven't even gotten my 5 for this week, even though we're 3 days in, just because I just don't find it all that engaging. It's just, I drop in, I get murdered, cool. Sometimes I can rank up to gold 1, but I'm between, like, 1 and 2. I picked the wrong character for it. You really need just high stats. There's not a lot of finesse. Like, you can run away, but it doesn't really matter all that much. If you just have a whole bunch of attack, it just doesn't really matter. And I had tried to upload a video, but it got corrupted last week of Cal had shared with our server a video of him loading into Dimensional Duel, and he just would jam the firearms expert ability for Black Widow. Not the sniper shot, but the one that does like the do that shoots like 3 bursts, which I've covered in my Black Widow build video. If you haven't seen that, go watch that. It is a really good ability, but he was one-shotting people with that in his ranking, which was, I believe he is in like Master 3 at that point. Might be Diamond 1, but either way, like, tryhards, right? Like, these aren't people who just like happenstance got their character up there. Like, Black Widow absolutely murdering people. I also note that it was post hotfix, post patch, post nerf. She's just good, and pay to play really has a huge impact there. It also, it is a little bit diverse in that, like, you can queue into different players, but like everybody pretty much uses the same PvP builds for most of these characters, especially the higher ranked ones. When I do my character rankings, all of the builds are almost identical, if not exactly identical, for Dimensional Duel. And the characters that are different, are kind of fun to play against because they're in my ranking of characters. With Star-Lord being at the bottom. So that's where it is for me. After this is Spec Ops, and Spec Ops is something you need to do every day because it gives you convergent, because it gives you sin particles, and sin particles are really important so that you can make costumes, so you can level up costumes. Making costumes is also the best way, presumably, other than buying them, that you can get the regional pieces, which have higher base stats and are just better all around. So it matters. It's a game mode. Play it. I think I would like it more if they had like more than just 4. The Hydra Escape is probably my favorite one, just because it goes pretty quickly and like this doing things matters for the score. Also, you can do it pretty easy AFK. But you do need to do them for Alliance rewards as well in your Alliance missions. So make sure you're doing that with people. You do need to do it 3 times per week. You can only get rewards once a day. Even endgame players are still capped by that, by the sin particle farming that comes from that. So note that it is like that the rewards are one of a kind, but the content is all fairly boring. There are weekly rewards if you can like rank the highest on it. I'm obviously pretty low. Some people just like really try hard to get this. And you do get like a bunch of costumes, 2 to 4s from it. So, it is really heavily angled towards getting costumes. But I just feel like the amount of sweating you have to do to get like a few 1-star higher ranking costumes is really not all that much difference. Logging in every day is just clearly a better reward for you. And then this one will give you 1 to 3-star drop box of Hydra costumes. So doing it every day also matters because whichever location it is also gives you a chance of dropping that regional gear as well. So that's cool. Just do it. Number 8 for me. And then number 9 is battle challenges. Holy crap, these are the worst. I mean, these are so bad that the devs have actually, the first time they've acknowledged them being so bad is giving you, this one has pass tickets. It does cost crystals, but you can just like automatically rank up. You won't be ranked for the weekly ranking, but you can go back and do that yourself. It's worth noting just because like it is probably one of the better sources of cores. I always get up to like 15 and just kind of stop. I mean, if I was higher, and I had a higher ranking and I had the ability to do more damage and all that stuff, I'd feel like pushing up to 30 would matter. But I usually just do these on auto and then go back and collect the extra stars manually on ones that I missed it on. You can see, like, even down here at 6, because I did it on auto, I need to come back and do it by using less skills. Whatever. I usually do that last thing in the week because it's the worst. So for everyone who says Spec Ops is the worst game mode, I actually think Battle Challenges are worse. That's just me. The content doesn't change. Getting the stars is just a little bit tedious. They take a long time to boot into. I don't love them. Let me know what you guys think, though, in the comments down below. Did I do this ranking totally wrong? Did I miss something that you think should be considered a game mode? What would you like to see in my next video? What are you looking forward to? All that jazz and beyond. Until next time, though, good luck on the path. Get out there. Keep on gaming. Bye for now.